friends, Noura here. Welcome to my channel. I have Cushing's disease and PCOS. Friendly reminder, I'm not a medical professional. All of the advice that I'm giving you is just for fun, from my own experience, try to help you through it. Today we're going to be talking about mental health with chronic illnesses, and how you can support your partner through it, slash child, slash friend. So, hopefully this is helpful and you can send it to people who you need their support from. So something that I've found in the chronically ill community, especially people who are overweight and who identify as or present as them, there's a lot of discrimination. And so the first thing about being supportive in this community is just being willing to believe the person that you're with or the person that you're trying to support, that they are telling the truth and that there is something wrong with them and that they deserve to figure out what that thing is. You would not believe how many people reach out to me and say, I am completely alone. Nobody is with me. Nobody believes me. Only to send me another message 6 months later saying, thank you so much. I've been diagnosed. I had a brain tumor. But my support system didn't believe me. So I understand that you want to trust doctors. I am not someone who doesn't trust doctors. I trust doctors. But I also trust my own body. And I don't think the medical community is 100% accurate all the time. I just want to be really clear that this has nothing to do with vaccinations though, and that you should get vaccinated. And there's a difference between science and bad medical professionals. Just want to make sure that that's clear. If you have any questions about that and whether or not you should get the vaccine, feel free to hit me up. The answer is yes though. I've spoken to multiple doctors about this. Even as someone who's chronically ill, you can speak to your doctor for sure. But I and the people that I work with all recommend getting the vaccination if you have the same diseases as me, Cushing's disease and polycystic ovarian syndrome. So that's my advice to you. Anyway, my point though is that I've heard horror stories from so many people being mistreated. And the problem is that there are a lot of doctors who don't know about Cushing's disease or don't know about what you're going through. And there's not a one-stop shop to solve all your problems. It's unfortunate, but there isn't. Having an illness can cause something called imposter syndrome, which is basically you feel like you're making it up and you feel like something's wrong with you. And therefore you don't get the help you need. And a lot of times, friends and family help feed into that. When I got sick, I had family members tell me I was just fat. They were like, try eating a vegetable. I'm on a plant-based diet. I work out twice a week. I still weigh 220 pounds. I'm not just fat. I have underlying issues. And so telling me that I'm fat or that I don't know what I'm talking about made me feel like I was crazy. And then there's a lot of mental health issues that come with this. There's one I talked about, imposter syndrome, depression, anxiety. People who have chronic illnesses are usually also in these communities. Partially because of hormonal imbalances that cause these issues, and partially because we don't feel supported, and it's hard. So the main thing is that you need to support this person and be there for them. The second thing is I think it's really good that us in the community learn how to communicate with our loved ones and talk to them about how we're feeling and how we're doing. So I've talked about the spoon theory before, but I find it really helpful, right? Like if my partner says, oh, do you think you can do the dishes today? And I say, you know what, I know that I said I do that. I don't have enough spoons to do that and go to work today. I promise you that I will do them tomorrow, or instead of doing that, I can do this instead. Being able to communicate and say this is where I'm at is super helpful, because if not, it just turns into like, well, why didn't you do this? Oh, I can't. That's not helpful. So learning how to communicate exactly what you're feeling makes it easier for people to support you. And I think that that's really, really helpful. And when it comes to those who have somebody who has a chronic illness in their lives, I think really listen to that and don't think that they're, again, it's really just about believing them. When they say, I don't have enough energy, they're not lazy. They probably don't have enough energy that day. So try to hear that and come up with solutions that work for everybody. One other thing that I want to talk about when it comes to mental health and getting that support is I know that I and a lot of other people who have chronic illnesses start to feel like a burden. That's something that was really difficult for me with my my partner, who I'm now married to. I felt like a burden because he had to take care of me. He went from being a boyfriend to a caretaker. So much so that I was so sick at some point that I needed his help to shower. And there are still really bad days where he's brushing my hair and laying me down in bed and making me dinner. And I had to come to terms with that. And it's really hard to not feel like a burden. And I think that, one, I think everybody should have a therapist. Get a therapist if you don't have one. But two, be willing to talk about those feelings of feeling like a burden and hearing how the person in your life feels about it. And getting that proper support where they say, I love you, I want to be here for you. And then learning how to do things back. And sometimes doing things back for your partner or the people in your lives is not a physical task. It can be leaving them notes. It could be one day when you feel well making dinner. It could be drawing a bath for them, getting them a book, putting on a movie, just showing them that you care and that you appreciate it. I think that that's really all that it is. I mean, I don't want to give you guys so much advice in your relationships, but I've had people reach out to me a lot lately asking, my husband, my wife, my partner, they are dealing with this and I don't feel like I know how to help. And I think that the other thing for people to keep in mind when you are chronically ill is, especially when you're undiagnosed and you're dealing with all of this, the world, I was there. It feels like it's stopped. It feels like the world is freaking ending and it sucks, dude. It's the worst. But the problem with that is that you tend to forget about people in your life. You are so overwhelmed and so unable to think outside of what you're dealing with that you're not thinking about how it affects the people around you. So I just want you to keep in mind that your partners are affected. They're messaging me. They're telling me they're affected. And it doesn't have to be a negative thing they are affected. It's just about communicating with them. So I hope that this has helped with support. The other thing I want to say is there are little things that my partner does that I find really helpful. So I'm just going to say those really quick as tips for you guys. My partner always tells me how much he appreciates me and that I'm not a burden. Because I told him I felt like a burden. So he just says, by the way, you're not a burden. I think you're great. Really helpful. He gets incense and candles and will light that for me at the end of the day, so I kind of know it's time to relax. He will set up, he got me a foot bath, and he'll set that up for me on days when my feet really hurt. And it doesn't take a lot from him. He doesn't have to give me a foot massage. He just goes and fills it with water and plugs it in, and that is amazing. He picks up my medications for me. This is so huge. It takes only 15 minutes out of his day, but it was a task that overwhelmed me tremendously. So he does it for me now, and it makes me feel so much better because now they're just coming to me and then I'm able to take them. He'll also remind me and ask me if I've taken my pills that day, which I find to be really helpful because sometimes I haven't. I've forgotten to take them. He tucks me in when I'm not feeling well, and that makes me feel really supported. And I mentioned that he sometimes helps with my hair. My hair is a task, and this is, it'll be different for everybody, but my hair that's why I cut it all off. It was a task that just felt so overwhelming, and so he helped me with that task. So I think, communicate what's overwhelming to you and how your partner can help you. And those are a few small things that he does that most partners should do in a relationship, regardless of whether you're sick or not, that help me feel incredibly loved and supported. So I really hope this goes well for you guys, and I'm wishing everybody so much luck and love. If you need more advice, any questions, feel free to comment or subscribe. Love you guys. Best of luck.